and the greatest.
Someone with color. Someone with color. Someone with dash. Someone with color.
What is up, guys? I'm Celeste Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here to educate you on health and social well-being. And today, guys, we're talking about calories versus macros, or how calories relate to macros. And this, guys, is probably going to be the last video I do in relation to, like, calories or macros for a while, just because I feel like I've sort of beaten this topic over the head from different angles, different viewpoints, done my very best to make sure you guys have a clear understanding of how calories in versus calories out works, how macros work, how to calculate your macros, how to fit your macros work, how, different diets, how they all pretty much work most effectively for different people based off that person's lifestyle. But at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out is non-debatable. I've gone over all that. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and link every single video I've done in relation to like calories or macros in the description down below. So if you guys, haven't seen any of them, you can check those out so you can understand where I'm coming from, because today's topic is gonna focus on pretty much what's more important in the grand scheme of things when it comes to body composition, calories or macros. And let me go ahead and first start off by saying that counting calories has been around for a long time, and then counting macros has been around for a long time too, but it's only kind of just in recent years been made more popular, through different fitness YouTubers, bodybuilders, etc. And that the reason counting calories used to be so popular and work so well for people as far as like, body recomposition, because they realize, hey, if I want to put on muscle mass, gain weight, I just have to be in a caloric surplus. And if I want to, lose weight, just make sure I'm in a caloric deficit. And because a lot of the old school bodybuilders and a lot of people just were training for health in general had very well balanced diets compared to what we had now, they didn't have to really worry so much about macros. Why? Well, because they knew that their macro and micronutrition was on point because they were eating balanced diets, whole food, so they were good to go on that. So all they really had to worry about was their caloric intake as far as body recompositioning, surplus, deficit, or maintenance. But nowadays, a lot of people like, if it fits your macros, we like tracking macros due to the fact that, it allows us a little bit more freedom with what we eat. If you want to go out to eat at a fast food restaurant, that's fine, as long as you can manage to order something that fits within your macros, that's cool. And both methods work for tracking. What people have to understand is that your macros equal your total calories, and that your calories are made of macros, because there seems to be this disconnect with, let me just be real with you guys. A lot of you, and I don't know why, I don't know if, I'm guessing someone recently brought this up or did this, but a lot of you have been asking me, hey man, is it possible to cut on 300 grams of carbs? How does that work? Or, hey, I thought that carbs became extra fat if you didn't utilize them, and all this different stuff is about different macros and stuff like that in terms of like, how's this person losing weight? And it's like, well, is this person in a caloric deficit? Like, that's it, guys. At the end of the day, it's calories in versus calories out for a deficit or a surplus. Your macros don't magically change that. It doesn't matter if your carbs are higher or your carbs are lower, your protein's a bit higher, your protein's a bit lower, your fat's at 20% of your total calories or 30% of your total calories. If you are in a caloric deficit, if you are burning more than you are taking in, I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. Like, I'm not so much frustrated, I just don't get it. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this to you guys. If you are burning more calories than you're taking in, you will lose weight. If you are taking in more calories than you're burning, you will gain weight. Like, this is established. This is one of those established scientific facts that has not changed. It's always been and isn't going to change. So the thing is, if we think about it, let's break it down. 300 grams of carbs, that's only 1,200 calories, right? Because there's about 4 calories. Yeah, there's 4 calories per gram of carbs. So you have 300 carbs, that's 1,200 calories. So if somebody's only taking 1,200 calories plus, add in whatever their protein and their fats are, if their total caloric intake is still a deficit, you're still gonna lose weight. Don't buy into this hype and this bull about like, oh, carbs are just this magical thing that make or break you. They're not, guys. Carbs, like, yes, they have their place just like every other macronutrient does. Just like, your protein has things that it's supposed to do as far as protein synthesis and amino acids and like, different, it's a building blocks of your muscles. And just like fats, they help with, vitamin absorption and hormone levels. Well, carbs are more like they're that immediate source of fuel, immediate source of energy that we get. They're what help you get like, that good pump, because, our muscles store carbs as glycogen. That's the form of glucose that our muscle stores it as, is glycogen. So it's a fast acting fuel source. So the thing is, if you guys think about it from a logical standpoint, if it's our fast acting fuel source and you're in a deficit, which means you're burning more than you're taking in, then taking in, even if you're taking 300 grams of carbs, you're still utilizing that. If anything, that's gonna be one of the first things that you're burning and using, because your body utilizes carbs quickly compared to things like, maybe like fats and proteins. So you just have to keep that in mind. I don't know where this mindset has come from that macros somehow overrule your total caloric intake. They don't. I don't care if someone's on 300 grams of carbs or 50 grams of carbs. If they are both in a caloric deficit, they're both gonna lose weight. Now granted, different macros have their place as far as your overall health, right? Like you wanna make sure that you're getting in enough protein, which as I've gone over, and that'll be in the description down below, along with all the other calorie and macro videos I've done, is only 0.5 to 0.8 grams per pound, because it is not 1 gram per pound of body weight that you need. It's always been 1 gram per kilogram, which is pretty much comes down to about 0.5 grams per pound, or at most 0.8 grams per pound. If you're cutting and you're trying to maintain as much muscle as you can, 0.8 grams. If you're bulking and you're trying to build some more muscle, 0.8 grams. But if you're just maintaining, 0.5 is plenty. There's nothing wrong with taking in more than that, in the sense of you want to take in, 1 gram per pound of protein, just for the sake of maybe it helps you with your appetite. Maybe you just like protein-based foods, whatever your reason is, that's fine. Just understand that your body's only ever using 0.8 grams of that per pound for actual muscle building and muscle maintenance. The rest of it's going to be used for other things, unless you're not natural, in which case don't worry about it. A lot of this stuff doesn't apply to you, just because the nutrition is different when you're on drugs. It just is. The way that your physiology is working is a little bit different. That's just how it goes. But you guys have to, if I do a whole video over something, really trying to break down, explain, establish something, I let you know that this is a standing principle, it does not change. Don't get so distraught when you hear somebody say, oh, well, if you do this thing with carbs, guys, that's the whole point of my channel. I'm trying to help you get away from this misinformation, get away from this BS, get away from this bodybuilder pseudoscience where they've said all these different things, ultimately just for the sake of either selling their type of diet, selling their program, selling their supplements, whatever it may be. That's how the game works. It's unfortunate, but that's how the game works. But yeah, at the end of the day, guys, if we're talking about body composition, your total caloric intake matters more than the individual macros, period. That doesn't change. Now, like I said, from a health standpoint, yes, you don't really want to be below, 20% for your fats, or really above 30% for your fats. You want your fats to always fall in between 20 to 30% of your total calories. But even that has exceptions. Look at someone on a ketogenic diet. Their fats are probably going to be a lot higher than that. Why? Well, because their foods are going to consist of fats and proteins and very little, if any, carbs. So even then, there's exceptions. Yet we see people on ketogenic diets where if they're in a surplus, they still gain weight. If they're in a deficit, they still lose weight. So at the end of the day, talking solely from the standpoint of body composition, your total caloric intake is what's going to determine if you lose weight or not. Period. I hope I've made that clear. This video isn't going to be that long. That's all I have to say on this. Like I said, I'm done talking about this topic for a while. If you guys still have questions, you already know, leave a comment down below. Check out any of those videos you have not seen. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know that you did. If you did not enjoy the video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what I can do to get better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch y'all later.
I am the greatest.
Someone recover!